Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let me put my hat on, and let's get this started. Alright, first question. What do you think about squatting and deadlifting in the same session when training for lower reps? I sometimes notice that my deadlift suffers after heavy 3x3 squats, but I'm squatting and deadlifting 3 times a week. So I split them. I'm just rest my legs 1 day a week. How would you program this? Well, if you're just resting your legs 1 day a week, so it sounds like you're doing them on alternating days, that's going to be really tough with your deadlift. Alright, brother. This is normal to be slightly weaker on the deadlift after you squat. That's normal. Thousands of people train this way. Thousands of people win powerlifting meets training squat and deadlift on the same day. Not a big deal. I mean, you can choose to do it different. But you guys recall what you've seen. I think Brandon Campbell is an example of this here on YouTube Fitness. Years ago, he was separating his squat and deadlifts on different days. Then he goes to a powerlifting meet, and guess what? What did he find? He squatted great. He couldn't deadlift in competition what he deadlifts in the gym. Why? Because he's used to deadlifting fresh. You've got to hit 3 heavy squats, including one that's going to be at least an absolute max, the same day that you deadlift. Same day that you deadlift. It's found he couldn't deadlift as much. Now, what I would say to people when you're building the deadlift, the question I would ask you, is your goal to hit the heaviest reps possible in the gym on the deadlift, or are you just trying to build your strength up with it? Trying to build your size up with it? Does it matter if you're fatigued if it's the latter? Alright, does it matter? It shouldn't. I mean, that's like saying, man, I don't ever incline bench on the same day I flat bench because I can't incline as much after I flat bench. Of course you can't. But you know what? If you were to go all out on any exercise, you can't do as much on the later sets. Meaning, if you came in and did your normal heavy 3x3 bench press, could you bench press the same weight for the next 3x3? You don't have to change exercises. It's the same with any exercise. You get more fatigued as the session goes on. Right? That's normal. Perfectly normal. Deal with it. Unless you're only going to do one big exercise, one heavy compound per session, of course you're going to be fatigued later in it. That doesn't mean you're not adding stimulus. It doesn't mean you're not building muscle. It doesn't mean you're not building strength. The other thing to consider, why is your deadlift suffering? If you're deadlifting at a high frequency, I sure hope you're not going balls to the wall. I hope you're not trying to deadlift heavy. If you are, you need to have someone rewrite your programming. If I was deadlifting 3 days a week, and squatting 3 days a week with it, and I have done this sort of training, I wouldn't even go within 2 reps of failure on the deadlift ever. Meaning I might take my 5 rep max, my 8 rep max, and do triples with it. You consider going even lighter. You're getting the movement pattern, you're getting the frequency of the deadlift. Alright, there's no need to go that hard when you're deadlifting that frequency. Your other exercises will build your deadlift also. You're doing very extreme specificity when you're pulling 3 days a week. And with the deadlift and the squat both being done at that frequency, sounds like you're doing 3x3s. You need to very seriously watch what you're doing with your deadlift. In terms of overall tonnage, that's your problem. Of course you're not going to be able to deadlift really heavy at your max after you squat. But if you're deadlifting 3 days a week, you shouldn't be deadlifting really heavy anyways. You need to be using a more moderate weight. A lot more reasonable. It's something to consider with your training. Alright, next question. What exercises can you recommend to a person with spine injuries, L3 and L4 lumbar section? Before health problems, I was doing raw squats, but now my doctor said for me to stop and look for something less impacting on the spine. Alright, brother, normally I do not ever give advice to people with spinal injuries online, and I usually tell people if you have a back injury, stay away from the internet. Talk to only qualified specialists in person. In this case, I don't need to go into that because you're just asking what exercises will help you not load your spine up. Well, that's fine. If we're going to stick to what your doctor said, then we're going to follow what your doctor said. Some leg presses will be okay. You're going to have to find variations of the leg press that don't compress the spine or put a load on it. Alright, you're going to need to find foot positions and back positions on leg press slides, because some of them can still work the back depending upon how you do them and the angles and how low you let yourself get, where you put your feet up on the slide could put some extra stress on your back, but it shouldn't be a lot. Find the versions of it that don't put stress on your lower back, right? Leg presses are going to be an option for you. They're going to be a real option for you. What else? Here's a big one. Belted squats. And I don't mean squats with a training belt on up on your shoulders. I mean belted squats. Some gyms have actual platforms for this. Belted squats, you take those heavy belts, right? The belts that people do weighted dips, weighted chin-ups with. You hang plates, you get up on a platform or a pair of boxes. You can sometimes do it with some of those step-up things. Just be careful. Be safe with it. All right, don't fall. Pay attention to yourself and your balance. Some people do them on plyo boxes. And like I said, some places have an actual platform built for it, like steel platforms, and that's perfect. If you can find that, you need to join that gym if you can find one of those where you live. With your problem, that's going to be a lifesaver for you. If there's a gym anywhere in your city with one of the steel platforms you could do belted squats on, join that gym. All right, you do squats with the weight hanging around your waist. Therefore, you have none of the weight loaded on your actual spine, 0. But you could still load up several hundred pounds on there, right? You could put 5 plates on one of those chains. That's 225 pounds. You hang that around your waist and do belted squats. You know what? You can get real good leg development. Real good leg development and overall strength through your body by doing that. You don't have to load the spine to pull this off. I'm a big fan of loading the spine, but in your case, it's just not an option, and that's doctor's orders. But the belted squats are probably the best thing ever invented for people who still want to squat. They want the lower body benefits of the squat without loading their spine anymore. Probably the best exercise ever invented. Give that a try. All right, next question. Hi Jason, I'm an 82 kilogram powerlifter and I just got accepted into college with club soccer. I played when I was younger but would like to try out and play at a college level. How would you suggest I adjust my training to better suit this new endeavor? Obviously increasing cardiovascular capacity is a top priority, as well as skills practice and advice. Thanks Jason. Well, if you've been a powerlifter, I'm going to assume your strength is already where you need to be. You're 82 kilos, right? If you're squatting at least 160 kilos, and probably deadlifting more, go back to maintenance on those. Maintain your strength. Squat twice a week with triples, maybe deadlift once a week for 1 triple, and just maintain your strength the best you can. Don't try to get any stronger. In fact, you don't need to be any stronger than a double body weight squat for any field sport. Okay, that's usually your ideal strength. Anything beyond that, you're going to take away from your sport-specific training, your recovery from all that. But you've already built, if you're powerlifting, I'm assuming you're hitting those numbers. If you have, you've already built all the strength base you're ever going to need to even go pro in soccer. Okay, you don't need to focus on gaining any more lower body strength. You're done. You're there. Maintain it. But since you're already there and you can just maintain it, that's going to let you put an enormous amount of additional effort into this other stuff that you need to do. So, I mean, you're lucky in a way. You've already built the strength base. You've already got your bases covered. That's going to really free up. You're going to have to spend less than an hour a week lifting to maintain what you've got. Now you can focus on agility, speed, endurance, again, skill training. Go back and spend all your time working on your basic skills now. Keep those skills high. You're at a big advantage if you've already built the strength base. You know, you're at a big advantage already. Just maintain the strength that you have. Don't worry about increasing it. Don't focus on it that much. Just enough to keep it. All right, next question. Normal deadlifts versus sumo deadlifts, sumo style deadlifts. Any pros or negatives on them? Never see you talk much about the sumo deadlift. I see a lot of people use them, more females than men do. Why do I never talk about the sumo deadlift? I don't think it's useful for anyone but competitive powerlifters. I think the conventional deadlift puts more size on you and puts more strength on you than the sumo. I think it's better for the glutes, so I don't know why these females are doing the sumo deadlifts. Why they're doing the sumo deadlifts. I feel conventional builds more glutes, builds more back, more middle back, more lower back. Overall better exercise. The sumo deadlift exists to give you slightly better leverages depending upon the person and to reduce the range of motion. Well, improving leverages and reducing ranges of motion are not how you get bigger or stronger faster. I think the sumo deadlift needs to be left to competitive powerlifters who compete and can legally use the sumo, just like I think ultra wide bench pressing all the way at the ends of the rings barely meet legal with a massive arch. I don't think anyone who doesn't compete in powerlifting should do that either. I place sumo in that same category. Can you get bigger and stronger doing it? Yeah, of course you can. Is it going to be as effective for those goals as the conventional deadlift? No. Stick to conventional unless you're going to compete in competition using sumo, just like I would tell people on the bench press, don't use a massive arch and a really wide grip on the bench press unless you're competing as a powerlifter who uses that. Alright, next question. If I'm doing a full body 3 days a week program, how do I program GPP work? On off days or training days, how much volume, farmer's carries, prowler pushes, and pulls would be my selected exercises? Thanks. Those are really good GPP choices. Yeah, farmer's walks. What do you put? Yeah, farmer's walks, prowler pushes, and pulls. So I guess sled pulls. Yeah, that's real solid. You're good to go. How would you program that on your off day? Start gradual. When you add GPP work in, if you haven't been doing it, it will interfere with your recovery. So keep training your full body 3 days a week. What I'm going to recommend when you first add in the GPP, stop progressing on all your lifts. Stick with your full body. Stay where you are. Leave the weights and reps where you have them. Don't worry about progressing for a month, the next month at all. Gradually build up your GPP work on your off days. Gradually build it up. I mean literally 10 minutes of GPP on the off days. Over the course of each workout, add a little more in till you get in a significant amount. If your GPP interferes and all of a sudden your strength drops on any of your big lifts on your full body, you need to scale back the GPP just slightly. Remember, you're trying to work it in gradually to assist you. You're not using it to detrain. You're not trying to interfere and make it your primary training protocol. So when you get to a point where you can do an acceptable volume of your GPP without it interfering with your progression on your other lifts, and then you get used to the GPP volume you're doing, then start progressing again on your full body 3 day a week. Then start progressing again. That's going to be ideal. That's the way I would recommend doing it so that you don't lose strength from doing it. And once you get used to doing both together, the GPP work is going to help you get better at your main stuff over time. But you do need to work it in gradually and consider that you might not be able to progress for a few weeks while you first add it in. But in the long term, it'll make you better. All right, next question. What is your opinion on Brad Pilon, how much protein? He recommends a protein intake of approximately 70 grams to 120 grams of protein in general. I don't have an opinion on him because I've never heard of him. Never heard of the guy. But what do I usually recommend for people who aren't cutting? 1 gram to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. Well, if you're 70 kilos, that's 70 grams, probably about right. In fact, that's up to about right anyways. His protein recommendations seem to be perfect for gaining muscle for people who are about 150 to 170 pounds. I don't see any problem with that for gaining muscle. You want to lose body fat and maintain muscle, I might go above that. But if you're bigger than that, you might need a little more protein than that. Okay? It all depends. Like, I don't like just someone listing flat numbers like that. I don't know if that's what he recommended or that's what you drew from whatever the guy said. But all things considered, for most people, that's a reasonable range. But you shouldn't stick to just a reasonable range for all people. That's why we have mathematical formulas involved. That's why we have basic recommendations. A much bigger, larger man is probably going to need more protein for gaining muscle than a 120-pound girl is. Okay? So you shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all. That's why we have ranges recommended. But for a 150-pound or 160-pound guy, his protein intake seems reasonable for gaining muscle mass. The 70 might be a bit on the low side. But, you know, it is what it is. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.